some point here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another victory version of the show today. Excited to talk about another rousing Denver Broncos win. This seems looking dang good. Bo Nix is looking good. Lots of things to be happy about right now in Broncos country. David, how are you feeling today?
Dude, this was a fun victory, man. This was a fun game. I was a little nervous, man, with those first couple possessions. Not going to lie to you, but this team locked in. They didn't allow Carolina to be that trap game. And, very entertaining game. And normally you don't see, 3-score games become entertaining at the end. Sean Payton must have beef with somebody over there with the Carolina Panthers. This was a petty end of the game, man, from both teams, man. Still going for it and all that. That'll be fun to talk about. But the story, like you said, the main story is Bo Nix, I think, took another step today. And 4 touchdowns. You should be really good against one of the worst teams in football. And that's what he was today. He was great against one of the worst teams in football. This is good progress. You're playing how you should against inferior opponents. And there's a lot to like about the play that he had today. And we'll dive in more to it. But I couldn't be happier for this team and how they responded after a sluggish start from both the offense and defense.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Let's talk about that start because it was ugly, and I think I was a little nervous. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? After maybe those first 3 possessions, let's say Broncos fumble, the Panthers come down, score a touchdown, and the Broncos punt it right back to the Panthers. What were you thinking?
Dude, I was so nervous because it just seemed like, man, is this going to be another Chargers type performance, man, where we just come out of the gate a little slow? And again, Bryce Young, a struggling quarterback right now. This is a side comment, but I would like to see him, man, hopefully go to like the Rams or the Niners, somewhere like that in the offseason. Hopefully gain his confidence back, get in a stable environment. But I was worried that, man, we probably came in here overlooking the team again. Can we get some wide receivers that can hold on to the ball? Thankfully our running backs could do it, but man, it was killer just seeing Will Jordan Humphrey fumble that thing earlier. When our offense was moving, Bo came out of the gates firing. He had great zip on the ball. I think overall his footwork looked much better this time compared to last game. And on the defense, some crazy things happened. Xavier Legette making a fantastic catch over Pat Surtain in the end zone. I just thought, man, is this going to be one of those games? Is this going to be one of those games? But then we saw this young team, man, respond. And that's what I'm really proud about. If we're going to go on a stretch to win some of these tough games, we got to be better than being outscored in the first quarter, 34-0 right now on the season. That was a crazy stat that the broadcast threw out. But oh my God, the Commanders won on a Hail Mary against the Bears. How about that? Anyways, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's crazy. And I'll just take that segue really quick because yes, it was a bad start. Things finally got rolling. Bo had a good game. But watching what was happening in the NFC, the hyped up game of the week, maybe the most hyped game of the week is Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, number 1 pick versus number 2 pick, these super promising rookies. They've been the headline of this rookie quarterback class, dueling, going up against each other. And I was not watching this game. I was watching the Broncos game, as I'm sure most of our audience was. But I look at the stats halfway through the third quarter, and Caleb Williams is 3 of 10 for 30 yards and 2 sacks. Yeah. That would not fly with Bo Nix against the bottom 3 pass defense. He would be getting crucified if he had that level of performance. And I have a feeling Caleb Williams is going to face a lot less scrutiny than I think Bo would have.
Yeah. It's just very funny, what quarterbacks kind of get those those excuses or leeway and which ones don't. But like Bo today, man, what you wanted to see was him come out and have the best game of his young career so far. And he crushed it, man. 75% completion, responsible for 4 touchdowns. Could have had maybe a couple more, but it was also great. I know that we had some drops. We had some players, man, just not hold on to the ball, whatever. But I do want to give our receivers credit in a sense as well, because they finally came up big for Bo in some of these catches. You know, like Devon Valley had a beautiful catch down the sideline where Bo had to fit it in this window. The passing touchdown to Adam Troutman, Bo put it where only Adam Troutman could get it, layered over the defender, and Troutman made a spectacular catch. It was great to see, especially our tight ends come up. Cortland Sutton, although he had the fumble at the end of the game, he made some catches in tight coverage, which was great to see. But I think, man, at 5-3, it's still not good enough, man. The weapons that we have, we don't want to waste this defense. We still had some ones get away. Troy Franklin, Lil Jordan Humphrey, man. Let's go get us a number 1 wide receiver. That's how I feel about it, man. At 5-3, all we need to do is I think we control our own destiny. Go 5-4 in these last 9 games. I think 10 wins will get you into a wild card this year in the AFC, and I think that's honestly pretty realistic right now.
I think, you could get in with less than that. Honestly, if you look at the AFC standings right now, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. Almost half the teams have 2 wins or fewer right now. Wow. So I do think there's a decent chance that I'm actually pretty confident that there's going to be 1, if not 2 of those wildcard teams that are 9-8 squads. Wow. Now the Broncos, with losses to the Chargers and Steelers, who figure to be in that mix, you don't want to be losing those games, because you could really quickly, end up, you don't want to be in a tiebreak situation. That could very easily go against them. But yeah, 10-7 is very achievable. 9-8 is very achievable. And this is all not supposed to be the case. I think it's easy to go, second year of Sean Payton, second year of this thing. This is kind of what it's supposed to be. But everything about where this team is in terms of team building, like how much dead cap they have, how few quality rookie contracts they have on their roster, everything points to this should be like at best a 7-10 team. And, here we are, 8 games into the season, not even at the halfway point, and they are 1 win shy of exceeding their preseason win totals.
Yeah. It really is just a testament again to the culture being built here, the vision, the continuity that we've had in doing this, with a lot of young players, or a lot of players, that maybe certain other teams have kind of, decided to turn away from, with I guess, Adam Troutman comes over here in a cheap trade. Lucas Kroll, obviously free agent. Quan Alexander, like just a lot of dudes that, and young guys, man, that haven't really totally proven themselves yet. Troy Franklin, a guy who kind of fell in the draft, that was expected to go maybe a little bit higher, but also kind of viewed as a project. And we're kind of getting inconsistent play from our young guys, no doubt about it. But to see us still, I don't care who it is, when you can play imperfectly, and you can be winning the game by 21 points in the fourth quarter, you win the game by 14. I'm proud of the team, and I'm proud of them. They're playing good enough to win most weeks, and I'm really excited. Now, a few years ago, and throughout most of this decade, Zach, I feel like I would be dreading the upcoming slate for like the next 3 games. I mean, we got Baltimore, Kansas City. Both of those are on the road. Then we're at home against Atlanta. But, man, those are 3 really good football teams. And now I'm very much looking forward to it, because I think it's going to give us a nice little gauge for really – how far away this team is. I don't think anybody's expecting us to make a Super Bowl run this year, but we kind of want to have an idea of what we're working with, especially with all this dead money.
Certainly. All that dead money. And I mean, the path works out great for them. upcoming stretch is brutal, but they still have games against the Raiders, the Colts, the Browns, a lot of flawed teams coming up. And then that Week 18 game against the Chiefs. I think a lot of people in Broncos country hate to see the Chiefs keep winning. The one positive with them, just racking up all these wins is it makes it that much more likely you're going to be playing a fleet of backups in Week 18. So it does work out nicely for them. I think it's just, I like breaking the season into like hunks of 3 games. And this upcoming hunk, 1 and 2, I think is what you got to hit. You got to steal one of those 3. And it's tough. Like even the Falcons at home, which is easily the most winnable of those 3 games, Falcons are probably going to be a division winner this year. These 3 games aren't just against playoff teams. They're against 3 almost locked in division winners. So it's not going to be easy. But man, I think the Broncos can definitely steal one of these games. A very flawed Browns team just stole one against the Ravens. The Chiefs feel so due to me for an upset. I'm frankly planning on picking the Broncos just because I don't think the Chiefs deserve to be 8-0, let alone 9-0, let alone 10-0. They feel more like, I don't know, an 8-2 team, a really good team, but they should have slipped up here or there. I don't know why they haven't yet. Point being, I think the Broncos can get through this stretch, especially given what we saw from Bo Nix today. That has to be the headline. This was truly, in my opinion, a game-changing, a transformational performance from Bo Nix. And that's not to say like he's arrived as an MVP candidate or anything that crazy. We're still a long ways off from any elite conversations or anything like that, even franchise quarterback conversations. But the accuracy problems that have plagued every single start of his career, even the good ones up until this game, were not present from the very start of the game. And normally, that might be the case in the second half, but in the first half, he's got, the weird misfires where they're, 7 yards off a receiver. None of those today. I don't think I saw a single like horrific miss. There were, a couple incompletions that were the result of him being outside the strike zone. Nonetheless, just how calm his feet were how poised he was, how cool his demeanor was. All those fronts to me felt like tremendous points of growth for Bo Nix.
Yeah, the zip that he had on the ball coming out of this game, it was great. The confidence that he was throwing with, I mean, it was great to see them take some deep shots, man. I think a couple of those should have been, completed. At the end of the day, they weren't. But he showed that he can hit, throws from all different spots of the field. No Tim Tebow to this game at all. So that was refreshing to see. And again, when you're playing a team like the Panthers, he did what he should have done and maybe exceeded some people's expectations for going up against a team. This is still an NFL defense. And there were some times, Zach, where it was so nice to see him not get flustered when his first read wasn't there. I remember one of my favorite throws. I forget what time of the game this came in, but he was looking to the right side of the field. Whoever it was over there wasn't open. He resets in the pocket and fires a dart maybe 20, 25 yards down the field on this deep dig route or in route to Cortland Sutton. That was one of my favorite throws. I thought that there were times where, again, he wasn't just going to his first read and then he got flustered. He was more confident today. Offensive line, again, another great job, protecting him. This is what you want to see. You want to see him start to put it together, for him to understand what it looks like to have 4 really good quarters of great play. The operation was good again today. And I think one last thing I'll say was, even though the last few weeks, they haven't been perfect from Bo Nix, I've been more and more happy, with his decision-making for the most part on which throws he was going after. Now, they weren't always accurate at certain points in these last few games, but it was great to see the decision-making and the accuracy, the zip on the football finally kind of meet a little bit more towards what we're looking for in the quarterback play.
Yeah, and he did it without having to rely on his legs much. There weren't a lot of second, third reaction, scrambling along, and then he finds the receiver play. It was a lot of in rhythm stuff, a lot of downfield stuff. I mean, they showed the graphic during the game, how rough it's been for him downfield. I've been glad that he's been more willing to take those shots than I thought he was going to be coming out of Oregon. But definitely needed to get more proficient at hitting them. And today he was great. Second time he's put a perfect downfield throw right into Troy Franklin's hands, and Franklin dropped it. But I am loving what you see from Bo Nix today. I'm not loving what you see from the ground game. I think that raises maybe some concerns about the offense, because you want that to be the offensive foundation. But seeing this from Bo alleviates a lot of the passing game concerns and just makes me a lot more optimistic about the offense as a whole. This team, at the very least, is going to be frisky and in the mix of dang near every game from here until the end of the season.
Yeah, I do think, we're going to be in every game from now on through the rest of the year. Shout out to the tight ends, man. The broadcast pointed this out many times about how we have the worst tight end production in the NFL coming into this game. It was a beautiful thing, man, to see some of those rollouts used, more effectively. Like Adam Troutman was getting open, and again, Bo, hit those guys in stride. That's really what you wanted to see. Troutman again was fantastic with that one-handed grab. Again, Bo put it to where only he could get it over the defender. We saw Lucas Kroll make some nice plays as well. It does give you confidence that, hey, maybe this offense, this is like a get right game for the offense, where they establish some more confidence and chemistry. Sean Payton feels a little bit more confident to open up the play calling a little bit. Bo Nix understands what it takes to hit guys downfield now and knows he can do it. I just don't want us to get complacent. Again, man, I would just love to see this front office make a move for somebody. Baron Browning, I think, is walking at the end of the year. So that's just my opinion. So why not try and get something out of him? I think our edge play has been great. Even with him out due to injury earlier this year, I would just love to see some confidence from this front office and Sean Payton saying, you know what, we like what we're seeing. Let's do our defense a solid and go get the offense another weapon.
I love the idea, and I think the name I keep circling is David Njoku. I think that would be perfect for the Broncos, and I also think they should look at selling. I don't think it's as binary as, are you buying or are you selling? Baron Browning and Greg Dulcich. People wondering about my backdrop today. I'm at KOA enjoying some work there. I've been working the Broncos game today, doing some pregame work as well. And during the pregame work, I was working with Benjamin Albright, and he was talking about how the Broncos are at least hearing some stuff about, or at least fielding offers, maybe is the right word, or looking for offers or whatever, for Greg Dulcich and Baron Browning. It seems like Baron Browning and Greg Dulcich are the guys on the block for the Denver Broncos. Both those guys would make sense to move. I don't think anything's happening with Greg Dulcich at this point. If someone's willing to give you a 7th round pick for him, I would take it, frankly. The same thing with Baron Browning. Like, to what you just said, Browning's gone after this year, and you're not getting a comp pick for him because the Broncos are going to be very active they've got like $150 million in cap. They're going to be very active in free agency. Browning's not going to have a big enough contract to get you a great comp. It's not going to work. You're not going to get a comp pick for him. So also, and shouldn't be a major part of this pass rush rotation. Bonito's better than him. Cooper's better than him. And Ellis, is pretty dang close, if not better than him. I'd like to see what Tillman's got. Tillman was very impressive to me. So that's another one. If you can get a 6th, a 7th round pick, that might be surprising to a lot of members of Broncos country. I would take that. I'd take that capital in a heartbeat. That is a player that's going to be around for 4 years. And maybe that's a Devon Villay. Look how useful that's been for this offense. Maybe it's an Alex Forsyth that's cost controlled and cheap as hell for 4 years, rather than a guy who can be your 4th best pass rusher for 9 more games. It's not worth it.
Yes. And let me bring up this name too. I don't know if he's actually on the trade block or not, but they dropped another game today. So you wonder what's going to happen. He's a little expensive. I think with that 5th-year option, next year, I think it's somewhere between $6 and $7 million, something like that. Travis Etienne. Would love some juice in this running back room. It's nice to see the flashes from Jaleel McLaughlin. Another beautiful reception touchdown today in the red zone. That was awesome. But again, the running back play has just been a little inconsistent, throughout this whole year. You would love to bring in somebody maybe that can help increase the dynamic on this offense.
I love that one. I'll throw another. This one's definitely pie in the sky, but my absolute dream. There's been some talk about it's been vague whispers, but about Garrett Wilson. And the reports have even been, Jets say Garrett Wilson is not available. But those are often, I feel like, in the sports world, like the playing hard to get kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance they wouldn't be willing to trade him either. It probably would cost a ton. But I would be very interested in that. I think that guy is a phenomenally talented receiver, and in a more functional system, in a system where one has a decent quarterback and two isn't getting offensive coordinated by Nathaniel Hackett. I think he can really blossom. And just truly, like, if you looked at some of the underlying numbers, I love this site Reception Perception. I think they've got the best receiver advanced data, scouting, all this stuff. They chart the film. It's fantastic stuff. They thought Garrett Wilson going into this year was top 10, borderline top 5 receiver. And it just it hasn't been demonstrated because of what he's working with around him. Yeah. And I kind of agree based on what I've seen from Garrett Wilson so far. I don't know if I'd be quite that bold on it, but I think he has all pro potential. Easily could develop into a superstar receiver. I would expect him to be a star in this league. I would at least be calling on that one. Check it out.
Oh, I love that. Again, and regardless, there's going to be teams selling, and Baron Browning, somebody like that, it's just an added sweetener. And we're at a very rare spot right now, Zach, where we actually have a luxury of some edge rushers, So Detroit, I don't think you can trade straight up for a weapon, but Detroit sure needs another edge rusher. I'm sure they would appreciate that. It's going to be interesting to see what the Rams end up doing. They had a nice victory against the Vikings, and I just want to see Denver just continue to remain aggressive like there is, and learn lessons from what happened with Jerry Jeudy last year. Man, we could have dealt him and gotten a lot more compensation. We knew we wanted to move off of him, and I think we even know that. Again, Nick Bonito is another sack. So did he break Von Miller's record for most games with a sack in a row?
He tied it. And I'm curious about how that's charted, because the CBS graphic said it was tied for the 3rd most in franchise history. And I wonder if the Broncos release that is counting literal, he had a sack rather than a half sack or whatever. And maybe in the past, some guys have tallied multiple half sacks in games and they've been able to stitch together a longer streak. That's all I can figure. But he tied, in terms of full sacks, in terms of what the Denver Broncos have reported out to the public, he tied Von Miller's record for 6 games in a row with a full sack.
Wow. And I think, man, credit to Vance Joseph again, the coaching staff, because development, Zach, it's a beautiful thing when you have a competent coaching staff. You can develop some of these guys to see another jump that I feel like Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito have taken this year. It's really great. I don't know if either of them end up becoming, a truly elite Von Miller-esque type of edge rusher, but you got to be feeling great about the youth and production in this edge room, where I think around this time next year, we're like, do we got anybody that we want to extend? It's great.
Absolutely. And that's one thing where the Broncos are right now is a rough spot. but they can manipulate some things. They can take advantage of this situation and have it really benefit them. Like next year, they have more cap space for next season and for the 2026 season than they'll know what to do with right now. And they're building towards being a real competitive team that's challenging for conference championships and Super Bowls, but they are still a few big steps off from that level, in my opinion. So, next year, when you, rather than leaving 20-30 million in cap space just sitting there, you can, I don't know, but bring some of the cap hits up into this year on a PS2 or a Quinn Miners. I think that'd be less likely, though. More likely, re-sign, to your point, a Nick Bonito, re-sign a Zach Allen, re-sign, I'm trying to think who else. Jaquan McMillan. I think you're fine on his contract. For Justin Cernod, get these guys on multiple year deals and pull it all up into 2025, 2026, which players like most human beings like money up front. Should not be a hard sell. So, hey, we'll give you the money up front that comes off our books early. And then 2027, 2028, when this team is ideally hitting its championship window, you've got Zach Allen on a shockingly cheap cap hit because you paid it off ahead of time. You've got Pat Surtain on a shockingly cheap cap hit because, one, you did good business early, but two, you paid it off ahead of time. The Broncos, things could get, especially with the way they're maximizing what I still think is a pretty talent poor roster, or at least a roster with very little invested into it.
Yes.
You see what they're doing with this. Imagine once you get some more invested into it. I think it just really could be exciting.
Then you can do moves like the Chiefs are doing with taking on DeAndre Hopkins, or it's always like, how the heck are they affording to bring in these guys? And it's because how they've been able to structure some of these contracts. Like from what I remember about that Mahomes deal, it kind of gets better as as time goes on. And I mean, we've seen this ownership be okay paying all that money to Russell Wilson, and we got the richest owners in football. So yeah, you can front load some of these deals and create greater flexibility moving forward. That's one of the advantages that we got. The synergy here is it not only is it ideal, but I think like you pointed out, I think things are going better than we expected, and now it's like, now we got the opportunity to kind of increase this window a little bit, and maybe getting to that truly contender type level maybe a little quicker than we all anticipated.
Fully agree. You want coaches to elevate the talent on a roster, and this team being 5-3, best start since 2016 for a Denver Broncos team. That's a roster getting elevated, and you saw it last year too. A couple things. I saw a couple good comments I want to hit on before we get out of here. Sam asking about the defense. Thought there were a lot of open guys Bryce just missed. Riley particularly seemed rough. I would agree that I think Riley had maybe his worst day or toughest day out there. He got beat a few times. I think some of it in terms of the greater defensive, because the Panthers, especially at the end, were driving pretty well. They had that opening drive where they marched right down the field for that first touchdown. And I think it might just be a case of Broncos overlooking their opponent. This is a bad Panthers team with Bryce Young, all backup receivers, and we can probably just roll over these guys. And, they're still NFL players.
Yeah. We still didn't have like the best tackling day today, either. And credit to Chuba Hubbard, man. Can Carolina move off of that guy? I'd be interested in trading for him. Or heck, even Miles Sanders, dude. Like, that's kind of where this running back room, I feel like, is at right now. I feel like either of those guys would be an upgrade. But, like Riley Moss, the secondary had some lapses. But, it's kind of hard to play. You're just human, man. When you're up 21, you're just not going to have that same intensity, man. And I do wonder kind of what sort of coverages were being called as well in that defensive backfield. I wonder if Vance Joseph's kind of changing up things as well. I don't really know. I'll have to watch the replay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. And then, where was this one? Oh, do you think the Browns could be interested on Zach Wilson? I think they're going to be happy with Jameis, and I think they like DTR too. So I don't think they'd be a target. I do think the Broncos could move Stidham or Wilson. I don't think the Browns would be the team there.
Yeah. Yeah, as a Jameis Winston fan, this game was great. Just see him go do what he did. It does make me a little bit more nervous for this Broncos game. But if there's any coach that knows Jameis Winston very well, it is Sean Payton. And so hopefully, we can have the advantage there if he's still starting by the time that Cleveland rolls into town, or we go into Cleveland. I forget, but it would be nice to see another team trade for one of our backup quarterbacks. I think I would prefer to move off of Stidham rather than Zach Wilson, just because, again, I still like the upside more with Zach. And hey, you bring in Garrett Wilson, you can reunite the backup quarterback in Garrett Wilson, right? That would be really cool. But I just don't really know, man, if either of these guys are going to get moved. We'll have to see. If we do move them, don't get your hopes up for anything like a 5th, 6th. It might be something like a conditional 7th round pick because Stidham contract year, and I think Zach Wilson is as well. So these are rental guys.
Yeah, and I think Stidham especially would be the one I'd want to move, just because he's out of contract anyways this year. He's probably going to be signing with a different team anyway. See if you can get anything for him. Last one for you here, D-Rock. Commenting on Nick Bonito saying 6 straight sacks. Okay, what's the cap on Casa Bonito? What do you think the ceiling is there, David? What do you see?
Oh man, well, could he string together an All-Pro year like Elvis Dumervil did? One season in his career.
Yeah,
I'm down for it.
I think he could be Hassan Reddick minus the contract headache. And, maybe he's not giving you the most on early downs, but you can just throw him. He is, as maybe not as deadly as a pass rusher in the league as anyone, but A- to A level pass rusher. Maybe the run defense just gets to average or slightly below average level, but he is your prime designated pass rusher. I don't even want to use that label because you'll see Hassan Reddick in there than more than just obvious passing situations, but he's kind of like the closer might be a good term for it. Like that's what I think Nick Bonito could develop into, and he's
totally agree. Love
the talent there. All right, well, David, I'm sorry I didn't shout out your show at the top. That's on me. Okay. David Talks Broncos, the GOAT. He's been talking Buffs with us. We're on an amazing run, both the Broncos and the Buffs. David, tell them about all your great work, man.
Yeah, if you like the Buffs, you want to follow what's going on, David Talks Buffs. You want to stick with what I'm talking about here with the Broncos, David Talks Broncos. I'm going to join my friend Mark from Marquee Sports later tonight here at, I think we're aiming for 8 p.m. Mountain. We like to get together for post games as well. So if you guys want to relish in this Broncos victory again, we'll talk about it here again in a couple hours. So be sure to come say hi. And I go live fairly frequently. So it's always great meeting new Broncos fans.
1,000%. He's been breaking down the Adrian Wilson news too. Juju Lewis, hopefully here in a few days. So Buffs fans, Broncos fans, everyone go check out what David's doing. We will be back on Monday. I think I'm out Monday and Wednesday this week, but Joey and Bree will hold the fort down. And until next time, everybody, let's go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thanks, Zach.